Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed your staying in Knoxville so far. Actually, I created this video before and I was doing the tutorial, and when I finished it I noticed that it's 30 minutes. So I have to do it again and break it down into smaller pieces. So let's start. When you open Arena, you will see on the left hand side the project bar, the flowchart menu in the middle, or the flowchart window, and a spreadsheet window down here, and the toolbar, which is kind of similar to other softwares. Some parts are different. You will get familiar with every part, so don't worry about it. We want to create a very basic process. The process had some parts and has some elements actually. The first element is entity. Entity is the element that passes through the system and the work is being done on that element. Consider a drilling process. There's a metal part, drill machine. The metal part goes through different drilling machines, and we consider the metal part as entity. Consider a laboratory. The samples go through different processes and experiments. We call the samples entity. Consider a healthcare system. A patient goes to the hospital, goes to different parts. We call the patient entity. So here's the definition of entity, and you enter the description and information related to entity here in entity by clicking on entity and enter it here in a spreadsheet area. The other important thing is resources. If you want to consider resource as the machines, like drilling machine, or the nurses or the doctors in the hospital, these are the things that are owned by the company and will stay in the company mostly. So let's start a very simple checkout process in a store. So let's say there is one person for checking out people after their shopping. So the entities are people. I will click on entity and create my entities first by double clicking here on a spreadsheet. I will enter a name, customer. I can assign initial pictures to that. So let's say I want Red Bull person, just a general person. There is no holding cost or initial value added and non-value added cost and waiting time cost. This cost doesn't matter for me for now. And what about the resources? I have one cashier who does the work. So I add it here, cashier. The cashier is fixed capacity for now. The other option is based on a schedule, which we'll discuss later. The capacity is 1 because we have only one person, and we will talk about this later. We'll scroll up, create. Create is the first part of every simulation. In create, you can generate your entities, arrival of entities in your simulation. So if I say customer arrival, the names here, I mean the names of blocks and the names of entities or resources, they all has to be different. So if you want to come up with a standard way of naming them to avoid confusion later, that's the best practice. Then you have to select your entity type. So far we just defined one type of entity, which is customer, so I will select customer. Time between arrivals, I will select random, exponential, half a minute between each arrival. Pay attention to these units, because later if you select some of the units as minutes and some as hours by a mistake, you can do it intentionally, but if you do it by mistake, you will have problems with your simulation, and sometimes it's very hard to click on every single element and find it out. I just want to generate 20 arrivals and 1 entity per arrival. I can ask for 2 entity per arrival, 60 entity per arrival, but 1 is enough for me. So I generated the arrival of customers at cashiers and checkout process. So next step is checking out. I will select Seize Delay Release. I will talk about the other options later in detail in one video. It will take at least 5 minutes, so I will not talk about this here. But Seize Delay Release means a part or an entity goes to a resource, seizes the resource, which means no other entities can enter that process until this entity leaves the process. So consider as a drilling machine. The part goes to the drilling machine. No other part can enter the drilling machine until it's done and the part leaves the drilling machine, which is released, and the machine can go back to its work. And the delay is the process time. I have to assign a resource to that. I want cashier to work on that. And 1 cashier is enough. I can define different distributions for delay. I will go with triangular distribution, minutes. Most likely value will be 1 minute for checking out, 30 seconds, half a minute to 1.5 minutes. I'm sure that you want to play with these numbers, and you will change the minimum, you will change the maximum, and you will change the most likely variable for triangular distribution. But pay attention that the maximum has to be greater than minimum and the most likely value has to be in between. So if you change it to other numbers, just don't change it arbitrarily, because it will give you an error and you don't understand where's the problem. So if you change any variable, think before changing that. Okay, and the dispose, which is customer leaves the shop. So let's connect them. I got it from here, connect. Are we done? Can I run the simulation? No. I have to go to Run tab, Setup, and change the replication parameters. What's a replication? I'm generating the arrival of customers based on a random sampling or random arrival sync. So my random generation might be very good random choices, and I can easily say that okay, it was very good situation and my scenario is very good. But sometimes the random generation can be very hard and the system cannot handle it, or you will see long queues. You cannot judge based on one run because you are generating random samples. So sometimes you need to replicate 10 times, 100 times based on different statistical methods or experiences. We will go with one run, one replication for now. I want to run it for 30 minutes. I can select days, hours, whatever. And my base time will be minutes because I'm just working with minutes so far. Now I can run it. Oh, did you see anything? I didn't. So how can I see the process? There is a bar here, speed factor. I'll move it all the way to the left, which makes it as slow as possible. And I run it again. Okay, I see a line of people for checkout. Some people are leaving, some people are coming. Oh, such a big line. Okay, everyone is leaving. Let's see the results. So number out is 20. Let's see the queue. There was a checkout process, so the average waiting time in queue was 6.5 minutes, and one person stayed in line for 11 minutes, which is very long. And number of people waiting in line was on average 4 people and maximum of 11 people in a line. So it's not a good practice because our customers will not be happy. I can go to utilization, instantaneous utilization of cashiers. These are my resources. So the utilization of cashiers, if I go, is 72%. So sometimes they were not very busy, 30% of the time. They didn't have any customers, but sometimes they were a big line, 11 people in a line for those cashiers. The utilization is 72%. In total number seized, cashier had 20% passing through the checkout process. I'll close it. Now if I go back and double click, these menus are not active. Why is that? Because I'm in a running mode. I have to stop it. I go here and the simulation mode, and I can edit it. This is it for this tutorial. We will come back with this simulation, so try to make it the same as I made it here. We'll come back, continue from here. Good luck. Just comment if you have any question.